Gary Nickerson,
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
and this is Outside My Window. Our guest in this segment is Steve Barry. He's a Yarmouth Town Councillor, Deputy Mayor. He also works with the Tri-County Centre for Education, student support worker, and of course a community activist. Steve, welcome again to the podcast. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, you were one of 14 other members of the Nova Scotia Government Employees Union, recently profiled as part of its Heroes Unmasked campaign. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you don't like talking about yourself, but you're going to have to for a little bit, so bear with us. So how did that all come about?
So I actually received a call in October of last year, and just let me know that I had been nominated and actually had been picked. There was around 250 or so nominations, and out of those nominations, 14 people were picked to represent the union. And basically, it was Heroes on Mask, which was basically just highlighting anyone who tried to bring a little positivity or some light to the 2 years of kind of COVID that we had been through. And very thankful that my name got chosen out of 250 people, and was quite glad to hear it. After that, I was booked in to go to Halifax for a day. We did a photo shoot and a little half an hour video or so. And recently, I've been told that I've been at the Metro Center on a few billboards there and on the back of a few buses. And a beautiful kind of video came out last week that a friend sent me, and quite happy and proud. Although, like as you said, the personal glory and talking about myself isn't a thing, but it was very nice to be recognized.
You've always seemed to have a very deep sense of community, Steve. Where did that come from?
I credit that to my family and definitely my parents. Growing up in church, my parents always volunteered. My family as a whole, anytime there was a meal or an event in the community, they always kind of stepped up and did that. My parents volunteer also for the Salvation Army and various different things. So it was kind of just follow the leader, I guess. It was kind of part of who I am and, how I've been raised. And it's second nature, I guess. It's just, you see others around you doing those things and you tend to follow it. So a great example set to me by my family and my parents. And I credit them for everything I become, but definitely that sense have always showed me the importance of taking care of others and making sure that community piece is there. And you see others doing it and kind of becomes natural to you, I guess.
I would suspect that it's not exactly on anybody's wish list to become active in politics. So what was the trigger point for you to get involved in the community that way?
I guess I felt there was a group of people who maybe didn't have a voice. Often it's said that, politicians come from money or, prominent family names, and, being an average Joe just from good old South End Yarmouth and having a respect for those people around me and kind of just wanting to step up to make sure that their 2 cents was included in what was going on. And, I just think so often, political things are only followed by a certain group of people. And, this just opened up the door to be able to say, hey, this is for all of us. I'm a normal, average, everyday Joe. I made sure that I wore my hat and my hoodie during the campaign and whatnot and really showed who I am. And I think people really respect the fact that, someone like yourself and is kind of at the table. I always say that I don't want politics to ever change me. I want to remain who I am, and regardless of title or what comes down, remember who it is I am and who I'm there for. And that makes sure that my head doesn't get too swelled and always keep me in check. But very thankful for the support from the community, and things have been working out. So I'm glad to be in a position to kind of use the title that I have to be able to get things done. And it wasn't a long-term dream that I've always had or anything. My father got me into politics when I was very young, but just kind of, right time, right place, and it all worked out, I guess.
And I would suspect that being the youngest member of the council allows you to touch a different demographic than the rest of the council, if I can get that out.
For
right.
Sure. No, for sure. And working in the school, I have 17 years experience working at the high school. And, just being, I don't have to go out and ask the kids because I work with the kids every day. I see what they do, I hear what they talk about, and I must say, like, politics is something that I don't think our youth has really picked up on, and to be able to, to maybe be sitting in the room and they'll hear me on an interview or my name come up on the radio or something, and then a discussion opens up, and then it leads down to the road to, well, what do you think about this, and then they're involved in it. And I always say, since being involved in this, the day that I sit at the table with one of the students that I worked with, then that's the day that I did my job, because for me it's about who you can bring with you, and just highlighting the importance of having a voice, and representing, as you said, a demographic that is somewhat uninterested or unconnected, and just letting them know that, hey bud, like, this is for us too. So it's, yeah, I definitely look forward to that day when I can look across the table and see one of my young ones that I've worked with, and just being a voice there for the youth is important too. Politics just aren't for older people. It's, if we want to build, if we want a future, we got to make sure that our youth are involved. So it's definitely helped kind of connect with them in a way that I think that they haven't been connected before.
Now, the mayor and I have talked at length many, many times about social media and it being a bit of a double-edged sword, but you've used social media to great benefit, more so than some others. What do you attribute that success to? Is it the demographic of where you're at and the fact that you're in the younger crowd, or is it just a matter of strategy?
No, it just kind of came natural, I guess, when, that's kind of how I communicate nowadays with my friends, or even kind of the larger community as a whole, even prior to that with J Strong stuff and other community things that I was involved with. And that gives you the tool to, instead of writing 50 people, you can write it once and other people can share it and see it. And at the end of the day, you get the word out there what you need to. But I will say, I do think the younger crowd that is kind of my demographic, or kind of my supporters, do go to social media more. So, the fact that they're already doing this and they can just be a part of kind of what's going on without kind of changing their everyday thing has made a huge difference. And I got to say, while I'm here, like, I've had great support across the board from everything I do. The community always steps up, and to be able to use social media in a positive force is definitely a good thing. Although, you have your times and things do come out, at the end of the day, there's been far more positive than negative. So I'm very happy with that part of things.
There's going to be a select few of people that have nothing better to do with their time than troll, and
Well,
you got to walk past that.
someone once told me that anyone that's ever doing more than you won't complain about you, but it's always people that do a whole lot less. So I try to keep that in mind when I'm dealing with
That
people.
is so true.
I give people their space to, to vent off, because oftentimes people are mad and they do have legitimate concerns, but I always try to bring it back to, a respectful level where you can talk, and it's where can we move forward for there, because the whole just blasting off and the kind of nameless, faceless things that come out sometimes. And I'm just very happy that, the good people far outweigh the bad, and you just got to remember who it is you're there for, and, stay positive as far as you can. And at the end of the day, things will work their way out.
I know another initiative, Steve, is very close to your heart, and that is the J Strong. That was born out of a tragic event, but with such wonderful things that have come from that. First of all, you're going to be able to have a tournament this year, and talk a bit about the benefits of this.
Yeah, so the J Strong Fund is definitely close and near and dear to my heart. For those out there that don't know, I worked with Jaden Robinson within school, and unfortunately, in November of 2015, there was a fatal car crash that he was involved in. And I've always been trying to see the positive side of things, and even through death. And I thought, you know what, this can't be it for him. We got to make sure the name lives on. So we started a fund in his name where we support kids financially when it comes to registration through sports. And here we are, I guess 7 years later now, even though 2 of these last years we've been kind of halted in things we do, but we've raised close to $250,000. We have 3 big events every year that are our main fundraisers. We do the softball tournament, usually the end of July. There's a golf tournament that we usually do, and then we do the J Strong Cup usually the last weekend in September, which is also Jaden's birthday, which is nice to be able to shut down Main Street and have a big old kind of party and event that the whole community can kind of come out and get behind. And we've had nothing but, positive supports the whole way through. Various businesses that support all the time, the same group of volunteers that kind of step up to make sure we have umpires or whatever it is we need, referees for whatever we do. And at the end of the day, 100% of the money comes in, goes right back to kids in our community. One of the things in order to apply for funding, you have to be someone from Yarmouth County. So the money stays here. It is for our kids. And there's been a lot of success stories about kids from kids and parents alike, or family members who have applied. And without this money, my child wouldn't have been involved in sports. And the positive things that come out of sports, teamwork, motivation, networking, just a whole. It's more than just physical activity. So, the benefits that came out of there for so many children, and to know that they can access sports and not have to have money as a barrier has been a really rewarding thing. And we're really looking forward to, actually, I just booked the dates for our softball tournament yesterday. So the end of July 29th, 30th, and 31st, we're going to finally have our first tournament since COVID, and we hope that Hebron is packed and that people come out and we really enjoy ourselves and get back to raising some funds for a great cause.
Sports seems to be a very unifying thing in a small community. Would you agree?
Oh, 1,000%. Yep, for sure.
Do you find, Steve, that young people are taking a greater interest in the community, like outside of the school environment, maybe compared to when, you're younger than I am, but, when you were in school?
I think it varies from year to year in what group you have. Sometimes we have a group of kids here who are really kind of go-getters and whatnot, and you do have your off years in between. So I find it kind of fluctuates, but I guess, the big thing for us is you bring the horse to the water. It's up to them if they want to drink. So if we don't provide those outlets and things to do, those kids can't get involved. So, sometimes you do it and you do things with a good heart and things always work out. So, we've had support from youth right up to, people of all ages. And as I say a million times, these things can't go on without the community. And I'm very thankful to live in the given community and supportive community that I have. So very happy. And yeah, like I said, sometimes you get some really good youth there, a good group of kids, and man, it's good. It's awesome to see what they can do when they really put their mind to things.
How do your students inspire you?
The big thing for me is I always say anyone can teach the smart, and not that all kids aren't so smart, but some of them need a reminder sometime. And you show them that you think they're smart, and then eventually they come and they believe in themselves. So, it's those diamond in the roughs, those kids who were 30 or 40 average students and, not high marks. And the next thing you know, they're getting the 60s and the 70s and they're passing, and the confidence that comes with that. To see someone, I guess, that people have written off and said they'll never make it, and to know they actually did, and that I had a hand in that, that's what keeps me going. Like, from time to time, I'll have students come back with kids, or, when they get a job, they'll call me and let me know, and just always say, if it wasn't for you and other people within the school, this would have never happened. And that, to me, is what keeps me fired up. I'm there for the ones that wouldn't make it, the ones that need a little bit of encouragement and the motivation at times. And man, sometimes you pave the road for a kid sometimes that don't think they could have went down that path, and just watch them go. And it's just a great thing. So that's what kind of keeps me motivated to keep those kids who think they can't and turn them into a can.
And one of the things about, having as many years in the system as you have is that you've gotten to the point where you're seeing the generations come through.
Yes, I'm starting to feel old, if that's what you mean.
Well, that's not where I was headed with it, but since you brought that up.
Well, 100%, though. It's funny because when I first started, it was a group of kids, and then now some of those kids have brothers or sisters, or, kids themselves that are elementary that are creeping their way back, or even kids of people who I went to school with. There was a time where, I had one or two, and now pretty much my whole crew is, hey, here's so-and-so who's your mom, and I know it. And that sometimes works in my favor when it comes to discipline or whatnot, knowing the parents firsthand, and just that you don't want me to call your mom, and it works out. But definitely seeing that more kind of as my time goes by, the kind of repeat generations and the families and whatnot, and having that personal touch is always good too. You got to have that in with kids, that kind of lets them know that you're trusted by someone they trust, and once you do, you can do a whole lot more from that position for sure.
I know that after I graduated, of course, I'm still here, right? So, every once in a while I'd run into one of my teachers. Ken Langell was certainly one of those. And when he got on council and was doing things in the community, he was still Mr. Langell. I could,
Right.
no, call me Ken. No, I can't. Like, it doesn't feel right for me to do that. But do you feel that, as things kind of cycle through and you connect with some of your graduates after school is out and so on, that you still have that connection?
Oh, for sure. And I try to always stay Steve. I don't want to be Deputy Mayor Barry. I don't want to be Councillor Barry. I don't want to be Mr. Barry. Is that term is already taken by someone far greater than me, and I'm just very happy to be Steve, and remaining true to who I am and how I am is something that's very important. I don't want to become self-righteous. I don't want my head to swell. I want to stay who it is I am, and I'm glad that the support cast I have around me would keep me in check if that ever did happen. So
Yeah, I think your family will keep you grounded.
very much so. There's a wooden spoon somewhere in a drawer if needed, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, well, those were the days, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, I think maybe some of that should come back. I think
I
maybe a little bit of that might be needed.
I don't think that would hurt one bit.
Um, can you just talk a bit about some of the projects you have been involved with? I mean, you've been involved with some dinners, you've been involved with like an outside skating rink recently, and a whole bunch of other things. Where did these come from? Do you have people just coming to you saying, "Hey, Steve, let's do this," or you just
I'm
sort of wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and go, "Holy shit, we should do this."
So a little bit of both, actually. I do have people who, from time to time throw out an idea, and I have no problem running with it. But a lot of my thinking, I'm a night hawk, so when I'm up all night, and when everyone else is sleeping, I'm usually, I'm usually thinking of good ideas at 3 a.m. when everyone else is snoring and whatnot. So and I'm a firm believer in it only can't be done if you think it can't.
That's right.
So if you think it can, run with it, and you never know how things will turn out. And I mean, from feed and eat at Christmas time was a big one.
Yes.
We did close to 10,000 the first year, and about 150 meals. This year we did 187 meals and close to $13,000. Few full community support. Every meal was delivered to those in need right to their doorstep. Once again, that is 100% community donations, no CRA tax receipt. Everything was donated by the community, taking care of the community. So to me, that whole piece of looking out for one another, there's a whole bunch of people that's involved in that, and to sit down on Christmas and enjoy your own turkey and know that you had a hand in 187 other families that can sit down and enjoy one too that may or may not have gone without is a great thing. The community meals through the Good Grub group just started I guess when meals were going on, the 150 meals, I got a group together. It mostly consists of my family and a few friends, and well, we just started putting our own meals on during COVID, a lot of takeout stuff. And once again, 100%, we've never charged money for a meal, and 100% of the funding from that has came from community people. I'll have random people message me and say, here's a gift and here's $500, go out and put on a community meal. Or, before we know it, we've got a roast beef dinner for all the seniors delivered to their door. And we did some really good things when it comes to feeding the community. And I mean, being a big guy myself and enjoying food, that's, a guilty pleasure, kind of making sure there's something about when you break bread together that
It brings people together.
it really does. It feeds your belly and your soul. And I'm glad that this COVID thing is getting behind us so we can get back to doing more than just takeout, and people of, all different races and backgrounds can sit down and have a meal together and just share some time. And, these winter blues, sometimes these are the things that get us through. So, it's great. And I guess the other passion of mine, growing up in South End, we had those lighted courts down there. And when I first got on council, the first motion I made is to actually get those lights back up and going. In September of this year, we did a full remodel and the lights work. And then with the whole temperature thing that we were having kind of in early January, everyone was out skating, and I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool to have some kind of rink around? And then I thought, well, the ground hockey court's down at South End. I'd messaged a few people in J Strong in our main committee and said, this is my idea. And before you know it, we had, 10 or 12 volunteers down there. We went and shoveled off the court. The next time we laid the tarps out, and the fire department came down and filled it up. And, it froze over, but not hard enough to skate on. And unfortunately, there's a little bit of tampering going on, and the water leaked out. But I think if it was actually frozen and people would have got on it, it would have been a true success. So we're shooting for next year, or maybe if there's a cold snap of 10 days or so coming this year, but we really hope to push for that next year and to see a bunch of kids being out there skating on the same rink that I kind of grew up on playing ground hockey on. It's some nostalgia and puts a big smile on my face for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I remember skating Broadbrook when I was younger. I mean, that was the
Right,
thing.
the
We're
Allen
out on the
Pond
lakes. Yeah,
right.
exactly. And I mean,
Some great nostalgia.
hey, the rink was good. Don't get me wrong, but there's nothing like skating outdoors.
That's right.
It's like or playing just hockey back and forth a little bit out on the pond. There's nothing better than doing that.
That was a great experience. And once again, another, you put a couple pleas out on a Facebook post, and you go down to South End and you wait and see who shows up. And every time we have more than what we need. So, we couldn't do these things without the kind community that we live in. And I'm a broken record to that, but I believe in giving credit to those people who continually step up and do that. And we have a large group of those people in our community. You can say what you want about Yarmouth, but Yarmouth is a kind, giving, volunteer community, if there ever was one, for sure.
And the fact that you're able to get that kind of support rings two things to mind. One is that, yeah, the community is behind the community. It is kind of sad to a point that there's a need for some of those food events that you're doing. It would be nice to not have the need there, but
Right.
the fact that the need is there and you're able to put a huge dent in it is a testament to yourself as well as the team.
For sure. And like I said, everything I do, it's never just me. I'm often lucky enough to be kind of out front and kind of the guy overseeing. So when it comes to credit, it seems to come to me. But I do nothing without the team or without a support. And, I'm very thankful that time and time again, people always step up.
I find, any time that, because there's a lot of negativity out there on social media. I try to ignore that, as I know you do too. And I'm always uplifted when I see your posts and I see the response, whether it's, the rink or whether it's the putting meals together for seniors, just the amazing response as you just mentioned. Steve, do you get a sense that, especially in the last couple of years, that perhaps more people are understanding or realizing the value of working together to accomplish something, as opposed to just sitting back and criticizing, well, why didn't you do this and why didn't you do that?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that sometimes, if you don't know problems exist, you obviously can't fix them. But when you put things out there and people get to see it from a different light, like there's no one who ever volunteers who doesn't say, man, I want to do this next time. Or people who come to deliver meals and say, well, you only give me 5 to deliver. Can I have 10 next time? Or it's just that kind of, that snowball, I guess. And I always think of it as it's our job to make the snowball, and then we roll it down the hill, and we'll see how far it rolls and how big it becomes. And that's kind of where we are. I've always been one to not dwell on negativity. There are those people out here that do a great job to let us know why things won't work or why we shouldn't do them. But I always like to be the one who who likes to see the other side and stay positive. And if you want to see me get something done, tell me I can't do it. And that usually fires me up enough to make sure that, we'll continue to get these things done. And like I said, I think sometimes people are unaware that the impact that they can have. They think, oh, not me. And, a lot of people are shy and whatnot. And I respect who people are and where they come from, but there's a million different jobs that you can do from, I have a lady who always helps me out, who, when we do meals, she's the call-in person, because I realize a lot of our seniors may not be on social media or have access to a computer. So it's easier for them to call. And, she not only takes the names, but she also delivers. And then because of that, a family member may deliver. And before you know it, it's like, oh, well, what are you doing? Well, I'm delivering meals today. And you tell the neighbor, and then the neighbor gets involved. And it's just, like, I've always been told that, when you go through things, when you tackle them properly, like when the joy that you do it with, when you share it with someone else, it doubles, and it continues to double with everyone that you share it with. And I truly believe that light far outshines the darkness, and it all depends on what it is you're concentrated on. If you want to listen to the haters and hear the no, then that's where you'll be. And if not, you'll find a way. And when you do, there'll be a lot of people there supporting you, making sure it gets done time and time again.
Totally agree. Somebody more famous than me said something to the effect of, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
For sure. And that's how it is. You can't spend your time worrying about the why nots. You got to figure about the why. And people really appreciate, too, that perseverance. And I think a lot, too, like, I feel like from when I started to kind of maybe where I am now, there's been a trust that's been built up. And you kind of get a name for yourself for putting on a good show. And it's like, oh, well, Steve Barry's doing that, or Steve Barry's group is that. And then people want to be a part of it because they realize kind of the trust and the legitimacy that you've built for yourself. And that's great too. Like a lot of times at first it was kind of explain yourself, and most people kind of know what's up and who I am and what I'm part of now. So when I ask for things or whatnot, people are, on board with it because that trust has been built.
Absolutely. So I'm going to touch on something a little serious for a second. So cultural diversity and inclusion. Have we sort of reached the point where there's more than just nice words to this, or is there more that needs to be done?
Oh, I think there's a whole lot more to be done, but I will say through, the schools and the different initiatives from the province and whatnot, from when I started to where I am now, I really see that this isn't just a few of us of a certain color skin pushing it. It's a full staff. It's a full community. Even at the council table, we just recently released the town's third African Heritage Month celebration that involved our students. We tried to highlight local people: Don Barry, Troy Lawrence, Dave Phillip, Viola Desmond was in there. And I think the big thing is, too, when we think about these things, especially like when it comes to Black history or African heritage, we often think that it's the Martin Luther King and the Rosa Parks and the Nelson Mandelas, when we have people right here in our own backyard, a very rich history of our African Nova Scotian community here. People, males and very strong females, the Ada Felses of the world, and those people who really have persevered and broke the path for people like myself to be able to be here. I mean, I credit, Don Barry for being a mentor of mine, and throughout the years, from a gym teacher to a principal to now a job down at the school board itself. And just, yeah, it's important to just not highlight things just in February. One of our big pushes this year is that this should just become part of what we do. We learn everybody's history all the time, not just in a month, although it's nice to be highlighted to kind of bring it to the forefront. The whole ability to just, ingrain it in what we do and make sure everyone's history has a part, regardless of color or where you come from. And that's truly how you learn, when it just becomes not just a day, not just a month, but this is our history and it's important to everybody.
What's on your schedule for the rest of 2022? At the risk of you taking the next half hour to discuss it, but like from a political standpoint, what's on your slate as a councillor, and then you personally, what are you hoping to achieve?
Well, definitely the Mariners expansion is one that's on our radar. I'm vice chair of that committee, and we meet every couple of weeks. And Mark Brophy and some people around from the town have really put forward a lot of effort to get our application in there. Argyle has stepped up, and now they're on board as a partner. Just to see kind of how we all kind of went from having separate ideas and working in our own kind of silos, and then now how we come together to get a quality application in there to hopefully have a nice expansion here, and a 6-lane pool with some amenities that we can all be really proud of. It seems like we always go away and say, so and so has this in their community, and I can't wait for kids to grow up and say, yeah, but we have this in our community. And I think that'll be one of those things. I guess on a personal level or outside of the political table, just continue to do meals and community-minded events that build that sense of community, that sense of trust that we have each other's back, that sense of pride, that kind of where you're from, and from there that people want to stay here, they want to raise their kids here. Businesses kind of want to plant in here because they see, not the quantity of what we have to offer, but really the quality here. And I think it's so important that to have that sense of community and that sense of pride, to be happy to be from Yarmouth, and anything community based that I can get my hand into, or anything charity wise to help each other out. That's kind of my forte. I tend to live in the gray area quite a bit. I'm not so black, not so white, but just in that area that takes a little understanding from everybody, and that's really where you get the most done.
Steve, we can't thank you enough. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend.
Right back at you, and it's always nice to hear your voice, Gary, yours as well, Quinn. And I'm so happy that you guys are highlighting these local things, and I enjoy looking in every week on Facebook to see the update about who's next on here, and just keep up the great work, guys, because this is part of building community as well. So thank you for what you're doing.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
We sure do. Thanks so much, Steve. I'm Gary Nickerson.
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
And this has been Outside My Window.